Hi, Swedish Vallhund breeders. Today I'm going to do a test breeding for our awesome breed rec, Michelle. So I looked up her list of dogs and I thought I would look to see which of her dogs are the best matings with one another. So the first one I looked up was Pepper Time. Well, remember, you can search a part of a dog's name, so I'm just going to search the first part because that's easiest for me to remember. So here he is, Grand Champion Pepper Time Seabreeze is a female. So I'm going to go to her profile and we're going to discuss her profile. So as we know in your breed, we don't have a lot of biodiversity or allelic richness at the breed level. So we'll focus on what to do with what we have and how to maintain what we have. So here she is, and here's her sire and dam. And let's see, and here's her lovely photo. Genetics. Now, if you recall, you don't have a ton of DLA types in your breed, and this is the most common one, especially 253. I believe that's 50% of your population carries it, and then 1068 is one of the most common. So this is one consideration when you're looking at test breedings, is to look for the less common DLA types. But remember, don't hyper-focus on DLA because it is just one area of the genome, and the rest of this genetics covers much more of your genome. So this is just one thing to consider. She is genetically different from the rest of the breed. Now you have a nice high breed average at 0.45 for your breed OI, which means that in the tested population we've tested, you have done a good job keeping your genetics well distributed. There is not, most dogs don't carry very common genetics, and so you have done a very good job with that. This dog has even a less typical genetics for the tested population, so that's good. Average genetic relatedness. This is like mean kinship within our database. So all dogs, this is dependent on the dogs that have been loaded into our database. So this dog is atypical from our population. She is less related. So the more negative is what you want here. The only number you want to go up is outlier index because that will mean less common genetics for the breed. IR, she is also outbred. The more negative the IR, the less inbred a dog, and that's much lower than your breed average, but you still have a pretty good breed average. IR at negative 0.02. Homozygosity by locus is another inbreeding number. You want this to be lower, so she's lower than your breed average, and she's unrelated to 67.57% of the population. Any health information and temperament, if added, will show up here. And temperament appearance. Gray sable, 12.5 inches and 23 pounds because she's in the US. Now, you guys remember you might have kilograms versus pounds and centimeters versus inches, depending. Okay, so these are our potential breedings. And I'm going to breed her to, I'm going to show you guys our breed comparison tool first. And then I'll show you the breeding. So I want you to learn how to use this. So I'm going to breed her to Caliente Lightning Strikes Twice. Have to wait a moment while it pulls it up. And this will compare the two dogs' numbers to one another and tell you the category that they are. So they're category 10, which means that they are genetically unrelated. So looking at their numbers here, she is unrelated to a lot of the breed versus Caliente Lightning Strikes Twice is related to a lot of the dogs in our database. So the more negative this number, the less related to other dogs in our database. Health test results. Both have lots of health testing done. And this is nice because this she has been tested to be a carrier, and this male is not. He is not a carrier, so that's good. That's something I wanted to check. Even though this does not necessarily mean that you will have a disease or not, it would still be good to try to breed for not having it when all else is equal, from my understanding from this test anyway. Okay, DLA haplotypes, let's look. Sorry, I have dogs. You can see that they both carry the most common DLA type for the breed, but on the other hand, they both have different DLA types. So 25% of the puppies will have the same DLA type, but the other 75% will have a heterozygous DLA type. So that's fairly good. Inbreeding. They're both outbred, both meaning they're not inbred, and they're both below breed average. Okay, going to alleles. She is very different for your breed, and she and he is right around your breed average. So both of these are fine. I just usually recommend when we're looking at the test breeding that the test breeding try to stay around where your breed average is. Ancestry. If one of them had a very unique ancestor, you would see the combined ancestry would be really high. And this typical means like how typical are the dogs behind them for the breed. Neutral, unusual. So she has some very unusual ancestry in comparison to this breed, the rest of the breed. Then if you go down here, you can see where they may create homozygous alleles in their puppies. Okay, so this was their our comparison tool. Now I'm going to go up to my litters and we're going to take a look at their actual litter and the stats. I believe I did 3,000 puppies, but let's see. I'm going to go down here. You can see I have tons of test breedings. Pepper Time, Seabreeze, damn. Okay. Now you can sort up at the top here for sires, by sires if you prefer. I like mine by dam, so that's the way it is. You click these. So you click here, and it'll drop down everything. You can see where dogs are located, their colors, which I need to learn about you guys' colors, how they work out. Their AGR, OI, and IR. I am going to go to their breeding summary because that pulls up the charts, but you can also go to analysis, which will be much more detailed. You can see I had simulated 3,000 puppies already, so that's pretty good knowing what. So it simulates, creates 3,000 pretend puppies so you can see where they will fall. So again, we can compare our DLA types, see pictures of them. I take screenshots of this page and share it with people. But looking at the outlier index, the average of the litter is 0.52, which is above your breed average. And this is a nice range. We already know, as we discussed, that 75% of the puppies would be heterozygous, and 25% will be homozygous for the DLA. I guess there will be another one since there's another 2053. And then here in the class 2 DLA, the IR range, and this is the part when we do comparisons, we don't get to see the ranges. So I like to do the test breedings no matter what, so I can know how high these potential breedings go. I just did a toy poodle breeding, and although the Siren Dam came up as category 10, their IR range for their puppies actually went quite high. And it was a line breeding, so that it kind of showed up in this, where the genetics would be higher in bred, even though they appear unrelated in genetic relatedness. So here, the average for this breeding is right around negative 0.06. And then I like to look up here to see how many are going to fall above 0.15, which is where it starts to get pretty inbred. As you see, not a lot of the litter will potentially fall that high, so it's a litter that I think looks pretty good on paper. The more negative the IR, the more outbred. The higher the outlier index, the less related to other dogs, or the less typical for the breed a dog is. In your breed, you're relatively healthy, but you don't have a lot of biodiversity or allelic richness at your breed-wide level. Now, since you're so healthy, what we just need to focus on is maintaining what we have within the breed. And you guys have done a good job with that so far, and this breeding looks like that'll continue that along that way. So I was told that she plans to do this breeding, so I think it looks pretty good. All right, well, thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.